Right about now. Skiddly down, 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 down.
Hello fam, what's up? I'm Joey. Today we're speaking with an extremely talented Japanese-American singer-songwriter and producer. He grew up in Kobe, Japan, went to Berklee College of Music, released one of his first singles on SoundCloud like everybody else did in the 2010s, and now he's moved to New York, where I can only guess that by osmosis of, the rich, diverse culture around him is only going to make his music even better, that lo-fi, R&B, lounge vibe, ambient, bedroom pop music that we've come to love him for. Today we have Rei Brown. What's up?
Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Nice to meet you too. Where's the space? Where are you right now?
I'm in my office/home studio in my apartment in New York.
Okay. And maybe by the time the listeners actually watches or listens to this conversation, Rei, the album is going to be out already. Xeno, which is your debut LP. Are you excited? Are you nervous? What are you feeling about this right now?
I'm definitely excited for the world to hear it. I think for me, it's a little weird because the music has been done for so long and the rollout has been very long. So to me, it's a little weird. Like, to me, it feels like it's been out, I've shown friends and family the songs. So like, I'm not quite sure what's going to change when it actually comes out, but I'm excited that, the world is going to be able to hear it. And I hope that it, like something does change, that it impacts people and that more people get to hear my music. And I'm also, just excited to see what putting out like a full album, how that lands differently than just like putting out smaller projects like I've done before. So
there's been a lot of EPs, ones that I personally really loved, especially the Lovers 1 and 2. Those were great projects.
Thank you.
But for LP, and you really put in a lot of thoughts into making a cohesive LP. So there is a concept to it. The title is Xeno. So on the surface, I'm kind of speculating that maybe it's about you growing up as a child of mixed culture, not fitting in. Is it about that, or is the song are the songs more about introspection, self-reflection? What is it?
Definitely xenophobia and otherness factors into it. But I wouldn't say that's what the album's about. It's almost more about growing up with that lens and that just influencing the way that I saw the world and like heard music. And so I think it's more just like reclaiming that otherness and then just creating this like brand of sci-fi and like world building that the whole album can exist in.
Yeah, I would say you could definitely hear some sci-fi, but you just mentioned growing up with that bicultural lens. Do you think the Japanese culture influenced you in a way that I find your songwriting to be very poetic? Is that, do you think, from that Asian side?
It's definitely hard to pinpoint all the different influences because even a lot of like media and music I was listening to was Western influences then being like regurgitated in Japanese, like commercials, movies, and music.
Yeah.
I don't know where the poetic, I'm not quite sure, where that comes from yet.
Because there's a song from the album that we already got to listen to, which is titled Solar, where you talked about feeling lonely under the moon, waiting for the sun to rise, and memorizing the colors on the horizon. That's my favorite line, but I have no idea what it means. What does it mean, actually?
I don't want to give too much away or, lock in like what the interpretation of it is for me, but I think this is probably just I think the general point of view that I was writing it from was like a robot or an alien. I think more so a robot on like a post-human world, where humans no longer exist. And kind of like same scenarios like WALL-E, where like a robot has just outlasted its creators. But in being sentient and experiencing like the beauty of the world without kind of like social constructs that were imposed on it by humans, and it's kind of just like having a new life of like, oh, this is what a sunrise is, like what even is a day. So there's like a line also about like 24 is just another way to keep me bound. Like that's just like talking about like time constructs and all these things that kind of don't matter anymore. So the robot's just kind of like, oh, like what is a sunrise? What is a day? What are these colors and hues that it's just kind of appreciating? And it's just like, I think writing from the perspective of robots is interesting because it's almost the same as like writing from the perspective of a child.
Yeah, everything's new.
You can just like, everything's new. So it's a lot of similarities there, but it was just like a interesting like story that I kind of wanted to tell. And
that's an interesting perspective. I didn't even think about that, which is really cool because if you think about it, coming from the point of view of a creature or entity without circadian rhythm, the time obviously doesn't mean anything to you, but like day and night wouldn't affect you biologically, so it's just colors to you,
right?
And you're observing. That is pretty crazy. All right, so obviously you're someone who is influenced a lot by movies. I hear that you're a movie buff. You mentioned WALL-E, one of my favorite as well. If you were to write soundtrack or compose some sort of music for a movie, would it be a sci-fi, and what kind of movie would it be about?
Ooh, I think sci-fi would be a challenge, and it would be exciting because like I grew up, like all the Star Wars sound effects of like lightsabers or TIE fighters, all of that kind of like revolutionized sound design, and that has always inspired me. But I don't know if I have the chops to like keep up with that kind of soundtrack or sound design. But I do think just like any kind of like coming of age or like drama kind of film could also just be fun, and leaning more into like the dramatic, like tear jerky kind of soundtrack might be fun. Either or.
I think you definitely got the chops for it because what's the song, Picture Frames? It's so like sonically vivid, the imagery that you put into people's heads, right? So I think
thank you.
You could definitely do it. The album Xeno has the track list is out, so we can see that there's definitely a little bit of sci-fi influence. Solar, we mentioned the song Neptune. There's a song called Centauri, which I'm guessing is about the Centaurus constellation. Is that?
Or star system, yeah.
It's a star system. So you are clearly a student of astronomy. Are you also a student of astrology? Like, do you dig deep into like what it means for your star sign or whatever?
Very lightly, and like more so in like a fun way, and really only like grab things that feel like they apply to me. And I definitely am not good at recognizing like other people's signs and like what that means for other people. It's more like, I just see the memes of my sign.
What is your sign? Like, when is your birthday? Because you're kind of mysterious.
I'm an Aquarius.
Aquarius, so you're early February or late February? Sometime around there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to look up more about you online, and there's just very little information. So are you comfortable sharing your birth date with us?
I'd rather not say my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a few like short questions just to fill that like Wikipedia page.
Okay.
And if you don't want to answer, it's fine. Okay. But if it's true, then say check. Okay. So you're from Kobe, Japan. Check.
Check.
Okay. Your dad's American.
Check.
Okay. Your mom is Japanese.
Check. Yeah.
Okay. And a painter and a former musician who you owe a lot of your music sensibility to, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have a sister. Is she in music?
No, but I guess growing up, she was like musical and would sing in the choir and stuff, but she's not professionally involved in music.
Okay, so that's Rei's family. Now, here's a more complicated question. There's a conspiracy theory making the rounds on the internet that you are actually Joji's alter ego. Are you Joji?
No.
Because you did a collaboration with him on this album, and it would be weird if you're the same person. So how about this? How tall are you? You look like a very tall guy.
I don't know, because I feel like every time I meet people who say they're the same height as me, they're like shorter or taller. but I'm about 6 feet.
Okay, wow.
I think depending on the shoes, I'm taller and sometimes I'm shorter. So
Okay, and you recently did or at least joined Keshi on a concert tour for Hell and Heaven. Now, if there's a country that you can visit for your own tour, what would it be? And just a little heads up, your top streaming artists in Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Taiwan, where I am.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to leave out any country, but
Yeah.
right now I'm just like really itching to tour and play in Japan, just because I haven't been back home in so long, and I played shows there growing up, but it was always just like small cafes and small like clubs, and like to go back and play bigger venues would kind of like be like a full circle feeling.
Ray, it bewilders me that you're not more like you're not bigger than you are because you're so talented. So I'm going to have to mention this. What is your preferred social media platform and how do we find you?
I guess Instagram is kind of where the biggest following is. And yeah, please follow along. I've been trying to post a little more on TikTok, so maybe TikTok too, but yeah, mostly Instagram.
All right, so Rei Brown, look for him, ReiBrown on IG. And thank you so much for taking our interview today. Looking forward to Xeno.
Thank you so much.
Asia Pop 40.